What's up, and welcome into Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out on YouTube, youtube.com. Look for the Jonathan Hood Show or Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Hit that subscribe button, like, share, subscribe, and comment as we talk about the Chicago Bears. Not just the Chicago Bears, the Bears that beat the Green Bay Packers. That same Bears team that's got 11 victories. That same Bears team that's trying to capture the NFC North Championship. We'll see what happens with that as the Bears get ready to take on San Francisco. We are presented by Ankin Law, 3126 million for the great Howard Ankin. Injury law made personal. You have a slip and fall, you have an accident, and you need help. Go to Ankin Law, 3126 million, 3126 million for the great Howard Ankin. Sign my ball. As always, we've got merchandise and we got podcasts. It's all in the link tree, by the way, the description of this podcast. Make sure you just click on it. It doesn't cost you anything to click it. There's no charge to click it. And also on the YouTube, you can see our merchandise as well. We got plenty of merchandise for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, like the hoodie. It's getting cold in the Northeast and in the Midwest, and some places in the South, by the way, as well. There's T-shirts, there's beanie hats, and there's trucker hats, and there's something for the ladies. And then there's mugs and everything else. Check it out, Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, in the description of the bio. That Davis Show, that's where you go on X to be able to find Ken Davis, who covers the Chicago Bears like a blanket. Ken joins us right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Make sure you go to his YouTube channel as well. It's in the description of this podcast. Ken, as always, I appreciate the time.
I appreciate it too. One, with the Howard Ankin plug, I wanted to hear. And then it was a pause before you said for the ladies. And I thought you was about to pull out the Bow Chicka Wow Wow. I was like, he got the hoodie for the, like, oh man.
I don't have the Bow Chicka Wow Wow. I don't have that, kid. I don't have any bow. I don't have any chicken. I got no wow for the ladies anymore.
It's like he has merch. He has all types of merch over here, buddy. Make sure you check it out.
Yes, something for the ladies. And most importantly, as you well know, because women do take your hoodies, you got to have that. And make sure you have one for yourself, because you know women will take those things.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. That, it's cute until you need your hoodie. But it's kind of cute. It's cute when you see a young lady wearing your hoodie for the first time. Those are back the golden times, as Frankie Beverly would say.
What about that second time or third time when it gets chilly and you got to shovel snow? Is that cool then, or?
No, not really. I mean, because I like to have my stuff when I like to have it. That's probably a pet peeve of mine. That like I put things in order, and when I go for it and it's not there, and I know it's not because of me, but I've grown out. I've realized stop snapping and stuff like that, Ken, because you have to be a better person to your family members.
Mm-hmm. And how's that working?
I am. I've been a better person to my family members. I've been a lot more patient, because they love me to death. And just because, like me, sometimes I lack patience, I have to remind myself to be patient.
What about with the Bears? You're definitely patient with them.
Yeah, you know what? And we've finally gotten something for it. That's the crazy thing. Like, you've been doing this longer than I've been doing this. So you have felt the undertow of what it's like to be passionate about the Bears team and feel like they're not as passionate about their future as you are, when some things that make common sense don't seem to be implemented regularly. And just on the Windy City pod with Alex Shapiro, every Bears game and we do a preview show. But the thing is, I've been talking about when we used to do Under Center and how long we were just talking and making content for bad Bears teams. And you get to the point where we're here, and I know it's something we talk about here a lot, but it's not just the year where Eric Kramer finally grabbed the reins from Walsh, and Graham came here from the Steelers, and Curtis Conway finally had a good year. Rayshawn Salam, it was the best Bears offense we had seen. Mind you, I was young still then, so it was like, wow, wee! Right. But that, even then, though, you knew that wasn't, and I was a kid knowing like this ain't gonna last, right? The thing with this is it feels like it should last. And I mean, you've seen the Bears win in ways that you've never seen the Bears win, particularly when they're not the dominant team. Of course, like I said, I was cognizant enough to know what happened in '85 and to know they were blowing it through. You know what I'm saying? Like, and seeing that. And this isn't that team, but the fact that this team has the no quit, but also it's not like a try hard team. Like, you have this kid that could be a special quarterback. You have enough talent around him that even when his number one receiver by the numbers and maybe his number 3 or 4 receiver, you know, particularly with Burton coming on late, are out, they still pull it off against a Green Bay Packers team who was down their fierce pass rusher in Michael Parsons, but really still you had Josh Jacobs, even though he was on a limit, and then of course he didn't come back out. But you still had most of the Packers, and what looked like, what the hell, they about to lose this game, and to sit there and score, to get an onside kick, which is crazy. But again, it's not as crazy because this is the type of year where it'll happen. Like, I mean, that's the craziness about this year. If I told you this last week, the Bears are gonna get an onside kick, you wouldn't be like, hell no, it never happened. It's 8% chance. You'd be like, yeah, probably, with the things that are happening. And then, I mean, the pass to Walker, where I'm not gonna lie, initially I thought it was sailing out. You know what I'm saying? It's me. I thought people were like, yeah, and I was like, nah, that's not, I mean, where I was at. And it could be just how the narrative of the game. But then to hit DJ like that, and I mean, that part right there, it reminded me of like when Tua Tagovailoa came in versus the Georgia Bulldogs, and we knew that championship was gone from us, right? And Tua hit Devontae Smith, and I seen when he threw it, I was like, that dude is open. And he threw it was like that. And you know, that elation that you get from those types of things. And that's just, it's a great feeling if you've ever felt it before. I mean, you did get to see it this weekend, so you get to feel it.
So you didn't have any other examples besides Georgia, Alabama, or?
You got the victory this year. I mean, what? I can't have a little something. You got the win. You got the W.
I just think it's interesting the way you dusted off the old history book to be able to express yourself that way, talking about Tua against my Georgia Bulldogs. But I appreciate it anyway. Thanks so much for the history lesson, because it's really unnecessary, but it's all good. Unnecessary.
Gotcha.
Especially during the holidays. I guess there's a guy that doesn't celebrate Kwanzaa. So we look at Caleb Williams. And Caleb, exactly what candle is that you just lit on the Georgia Bulldogs? So when it comes to Caleb Williams, here's a number for you, Ken. Caleb Williams, when Blitz this season, has 16 total touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1,567 yards. That's an interesting number, right? Meaning that when the pressure's on, this dude will run out of the pocket or be able to get down the field. It's strange. What you just laid out about the Bears is very strange and very uncommon, the way the Bears go about their business. 6 come from behind victories, including this one we saw Saturday against the Packers. But the blitz seems to give the offense a jolt. Why do you think that is? Could you explain to the football layman why that is? Why is it that when the blitz is coming, when it's supposed to be you're in peril offensively, where you're sending 5, 6 all-out blitz, why is it that Caleb excels with that?
One, I think it's because he's had another year to catch up to the speed of the NFL. But it's funny when you say that, and this is my opinion. I think it's also because of the strength of the offensive line. It's easier to know where the blitz is coming from. Where I think if this was last year's O-line, that bad boy be coming straight up the middle. It would be coming from any and everywhere. Where now, and Caleb is also smarter. He has a great head coach in Ben Johnson to help him with this. But I think I got 5 down linemen. They're sending 6 or 7. I know where the heat is coming from. I know which way I can roll, and I know what he knows the hot a lot of times, it seems like, too. So I think I think it's Caleb being better. I think it's the line being better. And I think it's having someone to coach him up in Ben Johnson. But I'll say this, too. With the numbers that you put up with what he's done in pressures, I think, isn't he like number 1 in the league when it comes to that, I believe?
Yes.
I think that's also just his innate ability. Like, it will be crazy if he can put together the mundane things as far as running an offense consistently to go along with what he does at high-level situations. Because if he can do both of those, he'll be one of the top 3 quarterbacks within the NFL in a couple years if he can do both of those and he has the weapons around him. And they don't even have to be great. They can just be pretty good and have enough weapons. But I have to put a lot of that on him and his ability and coaching.
Check out Ken Davis on the Windy City podcast, available right now where you get your podcast. A great breakdown of the Bears there, especially after Bears games. I don't know if you follow Eric Lambert from Sports Mockery.
Yeah, I do. I follow.
Okay. Eric Lambert 1 is where you can find him on X. I believe, Ken, these are quarterback ratings. I believe they are. I didn't say that, but I believe based on the numbers here, I think that's where he's talking. He says, I've said forever that you'll know when the Bears have the right quarterback based on how he plays against the Packers. I don't necessarily agree with that. That, you base the quarterback on whether or not he's getting better against many teams, not just one team. I know a lot of people will boil down to, hey, as long as the Bears win 2 games against the Packers, it's a successful season. Well, that's bullshit. All right. It's always been bullshit. It's been passed around generation to generation. If you're a young person watching this podcast or listening to it, don't let your parents, grandparents, uncles tell you that. They're all important because you're trying to win the Super Bowl, not the Wisconsin, Chicago trophy. You mentioned some of those quarterbacks from back in the day, right? These are quarterback rankings against the Packers. Jim Harbaugh was the leader at 82.8 in his career against the Packers. Eric Kramer was 58.6. Remember Kramer had that great year in 95 we just talked about, right? We thought, we're farting through silk there. It's like, man, is that how offense supposed to look? Man, ain't going to never get better than Eric Kramer, who hated this, by the way. Eric, what do you think of the Packers and Bears? It's just another game. Just another game. That's what he said. Just another game. Chicago fire for that. That was like early in my career. I remember the phone lines would not stop ringing when he said it was just another game. So 58.6. Jim Miller, also very solid quarterback. Jim Miller, who would call my night shows on the Score and compliment me when he was quarterback for the Bears. He'd be listening, which also told me as a young broadcaster, like, they're all listening. I recall just like, I don't want to go on the air, but he makes a great point. We got to get better at this, or thanks for the compliment on that. I like Jim, but it was funny that as a quarterback in the Range Rover listening, like, yep, I hear what you're saying. 64.5. Rex was 58.2. Jay Cutler, 66.6 quarterback ranking. Mitch, 79.5. Justin Fields, 75.5. Caleb Williams, 91.1. The best against the Bears, or the best against the Packers in quarterback rank. I just named for you all these other quarterbacks that you and I have been through. Caleb's the best at 91.1. What does that say?
It sounds like you hit on the guy. And you know what it says too? I don't know. I don't think it'll be a total flop because I don't think Jordan Love is a flop, right? So I guess maybe there's a Freudian slip. But I think the rabbit has the gun. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the quarterback between these two teams, because we've never had the gun. It's like we hope that Jay can rival Rodgers, but Rodgers at that time was physically gifted. He was the best quarterback physically within the NFL. And still, that never came to fruition. And then everybody else was really a hope and a dream. If we're really being honest, it was a poof. And you knew that they weren't who you thought they were when they were getting drafted here or brought in via free agency. I think it just shows you that the Bears hit. And the crazy thing about it is it's one of the, at this point in this year 2, it's one of the better quarterback drafts that we've had, because there's been a lot of poopy drafts that we thought were going to be generational drafts, really, when we're talking about. Trevor Lawrence just figuring it out just a week ago, basically. Right? Remember how many guys were in that draft, right? It was about 4 or 5 of them.
That's right. And
you look at what Caleb is, what Drake May is, what Bo Nix is. You look at what Jaden Daniels will be when healthy, if he can get back to where he was. Was that a blip? Was it more now it's growing pains, or was he hurt? But when you just look, just those guys right there, that's one. I mean, think about it. Like 3 of those guys are going to the playoffs right now.
Correct.
And they're not coming in the back door. All of them have either the first or second best records in their conference, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's saying a lot about that draft and those players. And there'll always be, I think, right now, the clear thing is between Caleb and Drake. So you got perhaps the steadiness with Drake, but then you got the sizzle that Caleb has. But to get all the way back to the Packers and what that number says, at least right now and it's early, and I don't think he'd have fall on his face from there. It says that the Packers are going to be, and it's the division. I love that you said that. Let me say, one, it's the division. I used to tell people they can lose both of those damn games against the Packers if I can win the Super Bowl. Right. Like, Green Bay could talk all. I could be the Green Bay fan. He could be like, "Yeah, won the Super Bowl, but you didn't be." I'll be like, "So we got the damn Super Bowl. I don't give a fuck about that." Like, are you crazy? This shit still tastes good. This Kool-Aid still tastes good over here. Like, I don't care. Again, would I prefer that they beat them? Yes, I would prefer that they beat them. Excuse me. And honestly, if both of those teams are good and the Bears are winning Super Bowls, plural, that would mean sooner or later they would have to beat them in the playoffs too. But and that would be, I would care more about that. But yeah, it says that the Bears may actually have someone, and I think we've talked about this before. They actually aren't a third world country that's being punished and told you can't have nukes even though we have them. No, we got the plutonium here, and we're doing the things that we need to do. You're not going to stop us because Green Bay has all types of weapons up there. And finally, the Bears are armed up like the second coming of the Allies.
Yeah, makes total sense. Please leave your comments about the Chicago Bears right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. The Pro Bowlers came out. Now, here's the thing about the Pro Bowl. It's kind of like the All-Star game, whereas baseball or basketball it's not like we're going to watch the games. You just want to see that your guys get respect. That's all it is. Like, was my guy named? Yes or no, right? So, to me, for my taste, let me give the names and then I'll give my opinion. One at a time, Hood. Drew Dahlman, center. Joe Tooney, guard. Kevin Byard, safety. They were the three Pro Bowlers. Darnell Wright was not named. Jonah Jackson was not named. Also, Nashawn Wright was not named in the Pro Bowl. I just want my guys to get respect. I think that, for me, the best player on this Bears team, we're looking at not necessarily star power, but a guy's been more consistent, probably would be like Drew Dahlman or Joe Tooney. That's the thing that's so strange about this team. We've talked about it, Ken. Like, when you're a good football team, you can be able to identify the stars, right? Is it your quarterback? Is it your wide receiver? Is it your linebacker? Is it one of your defensive linemen? It's never usually an offensive lineman. But for me, because of the consistency of the offensive line, if I said Joe Tooney is the best player on the Bears team, how much of an argument can you give me? Because I wish I could tell you it's Roma Dunze or but it's not, though. It's like everybody's pitching in to get this 11-win mark right now for the Bears.
Also, everything you said is accurate. But there's one thing to be the best player, and there's another thing to be a leader. Sure. And the thing with the offensive line that the Bears have really been missing is it having its culture, because that's huge with the offensive line gelling or whatever. And bringing in Joe Tooney and him being a Super Bowl champ with the Patriots and with Kansas City and seeing it. And he just wasn't along for the ride. So, it's not like this is not a shot. Like, and I like Scott. No, I don't even want to use. It's not like Bobby Hansen with the Bulls, right? Where it's like, you got a title? Yeah, I was there. Like, it's not one of those, like, this guy was a huge factor on those teams. And as you said, he clearly, dog, if you've been here and you've seen how bad the offensive line is played, and it's not even where right now. I know people are like, well, in a couple of years. Well, we're not in a couple of years. He's still one of the best guards in football right now. And it's helped this team. It's helped settle that offensive line. I know Dan Roshar has to get part of it with his frankness when you see Darnell Wright talking about how frank that he is, and he's just not out there patting guys on the back. But it's also having examples. There's things that are a lot easier when you see what someone else does in front of you and you see what they get from doing it. So it's like, oh, he's been here. I see his work ethic compared to Darnell Wright being with some of the players. And I'm not saying that some of them weren't good, but there was no proof to what they were doing because it didn't add up to victories. it didn't add up to Pro Bowls. You know what I'm saying? So when it helps you to be like, okay, I can get in line with that because I see where it's took him and where it's taken him. So no, I think easily best player. Yeah, he has, because I think this is the thing too. Let me ask you this question. Okay, so best player, could it be the hottest player? So it's like, okay, the guy that most improved in a way, you know what I'm saying? But also, I think when we're talking best player, we're talking about, and I hate to say it to a degree because it takes away if you did get real hot and you just zenithed, but established too. Because one thing about someone is just getting hot, like in all fairness, and I think Donnell Wright should have made the Pro Bowl. We don't know. And of course, he won't have, I would think he won't have this many turnovers. It doesn't mean he won't be effective next season. I would hope he can be a better cover guy. And perhaps, because some people shouldn't throw to him, you would think he won't get as many, but I don't know. But you look at the fact that this is Joe Thuney, and this is who you brought him in to be, and he's giving you everything that he's supposed to. He's supposed to be the best player unless Caleb had a season and where he was leading the league in touchdowns and yards or something like that. That'd be the only way I could say that somebody else, or Montez Sweat had the same numbers as what's the name, Garrett, for the Myles Garrett for the Browns.
Well, ask the question that you want to ask me. What's the question you want to ask me?
Oh, the question I was trying to ask you was, when we're talking best player, do we have to say, does it come with them being established or having a background of being established when we're saying that? Because to a degree, I don't know, and I don't know if I should include this in the equation. I can at least sit there and see where this player is going to go in the future because of what they've done in the past. So it's easier for me to be like, well, yes, of course, because they brought him in to be their best player. So because he has the past track record and he's proven he's still there, compared to best player, it's a freakish year. And I don't know if this is going to be your track record moving forward.
All right, I'll give you an example to answer that question. I'll give you an example. What if I gave you the name of a player that had 67 tackles, that had 11 pass breakups, that had 5 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, 3 tackles for a loss, 3 fumble recoveries, 1 quarterback hurry, 1 touchdown? That sound like a productive player?
True, yes.
Does that sound like a star player for a year? Or at least for a season?
For a season, because the only thing I can look at DBs on the Cowboys, because sometimes, and again, particularly with defensive backs, those turnover numbers can be a freaky year that they had compared to this is who I am moving forward.
Those numbers I gave you are the numbers for Nahshon Wright.
I know they were. I mean, who else would they have been?
I'm just saying. Well, I mean, you know, maybe
because it's the turnovers. When you give me when you give me the interceptions, the fumbles, it's him. And again, I'm big on Nahshon Wright. Put it like this: I think me prefacing that question takes away from what he's done, but it also takes away from Joe Thuney being Joe Thuney. But it's one of those things how my brain, I'm trying to figure out things when I'm discussing things so I can calibrate them properly.
No. I want the audience to know, because I gave those stats without giving a name. It was blind resume. So now the audience knows I'm talking about Nahshon Wright. That's why I did it that way.
Okay.
But the other side of it, Ken, is like, so when we talk about trying to identify like difference makers, there's a number of them on the football team. But like I said previous to this, when you look at a good football team, whether you're talking about the Rams or Seattle, or we're talking about the maybe the Patriots, top teams, the AFC as well, you just try to identify like what's the reason why you have this record.
Right.
And for the Bears, it's a different answer than it is for the upper echelon teams in the NFL. It's different with the Chicago Bears because it's Josh Blackwell, and then it's Cairo Santos, and then it's Caleb, and then it's the running game, then it's the offensive line, then it's like it's a whole bunch of different answers in this gumbo that got the Bears to 11 victories. It's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah, I mean, but also that goes to roster building, and so that goes all the way back to something that we started off this discussion with, being Bears fans, and seeing things that seem like they make common sense, and seeing the franchise not necessarily consistently going down that path that makes common sense, like building out an offensive line, not thinking you can draft offensive linemen, particularly when you're not using consistent first-round picks to go out and get them. Like, just finally you spent money on something that all of us for years have been saying you need an offensive line. Like, how will we ever know who whatever quarterback is? You asked earlier about Caleb and knowing where the heat's coming from the blitz, and why I use having a better offensive line lets you know where the release is probably going to come from, compared to now go back to the last 6 years and quarterbacks getting their brains headed to them, because there's no way for them to know, because there's sieves all over the place when it comes to how porous the offensive line was.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this all ends, like where the Bears are, when they're going to be able to be stamped and deemed the NFC North champions, because it's been a long time coming. This game against San Francisco is going to be interesting because it's been a house of horrors in San Francisco. My first bet, Ken Davis, my first official wager was Bears San Francisco 25 years ago. I'm at Treasure Island with Lawrence Holmes.
Okay.
And I go to the gate, go to the counter, and it's a lady that has no patience because she's been talking to a million people. And I go up there trying to make my first wager. And the lady says, "Hon, what would you like?" And I said, I like the Bears to lose against San Francisco. "So what number? What's the number?" And I said, "Hurry, please. There's a line behind you." And I'm like, "Okay, 2105. So you like San Francisco?" "Yes, I like San Francisco." "Okay, so you don't like the Bears?" "No, I'll go into it. It's like, "Yes, I like San Francisco." $25. "Anything else?" I said, "Give me South Florida over UIC," who was also playing that same day. Seth Greenberg's coaching South Florida. And I said, "I always trust, ma'am." I'm giving her my philosophy, right? In line. I go, "I always trust that Seth Greenberg coached. What's the number?" And I said, 1105. "So you like South Florida?" I was like, "Yes. Here's your tickets. Good luck." He's rushing me off of there because all she wants is the number and the money. She ain't got time for the conversation. She ain't got time for nothing. She just wants the number, and she wants to just give you the ticket so you can scram. That's what she was about.
It's nothing like a J-Hood.
And by the way, hit on both. Thank you.
How much did you win?
Well, that game, if you look it up, when the Bears played San Francisco, Kate McDowell did not cross the 50.
Oh.
Go back and look at that game, how bad that was. Like, I knew it was Cade McDowell. So they did not cross
easy money.
I believe it was a shutout. I believe it was. And then,
awesome.
Of course, South Florida beat UIC that same day too.
I was so mad when they drafted him. Nothing like a J-Hood accent impersonation, but it crossed my mind. What was the national? Who was did you used to do the national show on ESPN with, where it would come over, like it would go off from the local show, and there was like a national dude. I don't know if you were talking hoops or what you guys were talking about. I used to love when you guys did that. You did a national show, and I don't think the guy was from here. He could have been from here, but I couldn't remember who that was. What was that, Jay? Can you remember?
So this is what I'm doing: night radio and then do national in the same block, or did I?
It would seem like you would do it maybe on the weekends, particularly, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I forgot who the ESPN guy, because I felt like it was a national ESPN guy, and you guys would either talk hoops. I can't remember which, but you guys would come together. Nice to enjoy listening to you guys together. How many jobs he's had, everybody? That's how many jobs he's had.
It could have been any.
Must be nice. Must be nice, man. Must be nice. Whoa, it must be nice.
Yeah, it's just a lot of talk. It's a lot of years. And matter of fact, if you go to it's funny you say that. You go to my YouTube channel that we're on right now, go to the podcast area, you might find that, because I downloaded a lot of my old shows that's on there. I need to look at that myself because it's in the podcast section of YouTube. If people don't remember about Under the Hood shows or some of my national shows that I did with the late Jeff Dickerson.
Was it Jeff Dickerson?
I worked with Jeff. We were
but Jeff Dickerson was what's it with you and Jeff? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Dickerson and Hood we were a local and a national show on the weekends. On the
That's
weekends,
what it was.
we did Saturdays and Sundays and the weekends, and I did my show Monday through Friday.
I think that may have been, maybe that's what I'm referring to. I could be wrong, but again, I'm a J-Hood fan.
It's there. We used to do a lot of different things that we did, but then I'll never forget my first 2 bets that I won. Treasure Island in Las Vegas.
So now you know how to do it though. So you walk up like a pro when you step, hey, smack it, or you just do it on your phone.
I think it's easier just to do it on my phone than to have someone with a long ash off the end of her cigarette nervously shaking because this jackass is in line trying to make a story about Steph Greenberg in South Florida. That's probably what it was. That's probably what happened. I need to talk to you before I ask you your opinion about the San Francisco game. I do want to ask you about our neighborhood because Ken Davis clearly change is a come. For those that are new to our show that I do with Ken when he comes on as a guest, we both went to St. Francis de Sales High School. We are both alums of the proud Pioneers, and so we know the South Side and Southeast Side like the back of our hands. And the Southeast Side leads into Indiana. So the idea that the old man would just go 15 minutes across the border just to get a 75-cent savings on some cigarettes, and sometimes $1 savings just for the gas. We are very familiar, you and I, of how close the Southeast Side is to the state of Indiana. And I'm there at least a couple times a week to get gas or Strachan Van Til, not a sponsor, but just to go, whatever it is, right? Because we're close to the area. Mm-hmm. So I think it's funny because I think we're 2 of the few guys that can actually speak to this. The idea that we saw earlier this week, the story from Kevin Warren, the president of the Chicago Bears, having a letter for everyone to read that close to the Bears-Packer game to threaten to negotiate with Northwest Indiana to have a stadium in that area, the same area that you and I frequented for a while in high school and beyond. I can't even fathom Hammond, Whiting, Gary, Dyer. The idea that there's going to be a Bears stadium in that area. And by the way, shout out to them. This is not a shot at Indiana. It's just a shot at just how negotiations suck right now between the state of Illinois and the Chicago Bears. And Kevin Warren's the spearhead of this. I just, those places that we went to, right? Could you imagine? We're going to the Bears game. Hey, man, I got a secret way. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through Hegewisch and then up and around Burnham. Right? Go through River Oaks. Then make that turn into Indiana that way. What? That's not happening. I couldn't
go down state line.
Left. Yeah, go over there, right over there now. And then so we know the back road to get into the stadium through the alleys of the east side of Chicago. Like insane. When you've heard that story, what was your initial reaction?
Bullshit. And it's like, I'm tired of this leverage play. I think you're a Sox fan, so we've had the same, and it came back with Tennessee a year or so ago, and it's like, I like the point when you open up with Kevin Warren trying to leverage the Bears being good this season to force taxpayers' money, basically with with Springfield, to help them that are already rich. And the point that you pointed out, it's not a knock against those areas that you listed. No. Like even hypothetically, we're Southeast Siders now. They have that quantum places going up where US Steel is or whatever. Like that would be like one of the only places if they were hypothetically, let's say they moved the Bears south. But infrastructure wise of what you would need, like they would have to buy out neighborhoods if they really want to build something that people are going to come to outside of on a Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're trying to build something that you want the Big Ten to come here and national championships, they're going to need to do something outside of just being in the stadium. So when you're saying that, it's not a diss and Whiting and Hammond and Gary. And look, those places, particularly Gary, need an infusion of something.
Yes.
Like people don't like those places are Chicago. Like to me, like those people's like, yeah, I'm Chicago. I wouldn't be like, you ain't from no damn Chicago. There's some suburbs of people like I'm from Chicago. I'd be like, well, you're not from Chicago. But those people are in the backyard to where they, like you say, South Chicago, you're in Indiana, basically. You take that, you're in it. It's right there or whatever. So to hear it was preposterous, let alone, wait, don't you have your own land? Which, mind you, me personally, I don't want the Bears to move out there, right? And I hope Kevin Warren, I think he knows they better be good for a long time. And I know Bears fans will always show up, but that does not include paying to stay at your hotel, right? That does not include all the things when you build the Bears Kingdom Wonderland out of there. If you have these years where you're just a blip compared to people who can go downtown and kick it, all right? And like I was explaining to someone the other day, I don't know if it was my son or something, what Chicago is as far as a jewel of the Midwest, one of the best food cities, one of the best summers architecturally. Like Chicago, yeah, we have some bad stuff, but it's a world-class city. But to get all the way back, no, it sounded silly. It sounded what it was. It was a leverage play that shouldn't have been leveraged, particularly with things going well, and you know it wasn't going to do anything. And the worst part is, like, you hear people kind of be like, there go Kevin Warren. And look, I want the brother to succeed. You do. It's hard on us or whatever, but stuff like that leads to where some people who take shots at him, it brings some validity, because that play would never work, because as you were just trying to say, it's not feasible unless you were going to do so much work out there to really, especially what their dream is. If you look at what they said they want to do out in Arlington, you know how much land you have. I would love to have land out there if they were going to do it, because they could come buy my stuff up if they want to sit there and do all of that out there and get some acreage. But of course you wouldn't do that out there. So to do that was just like, hey, let's do something to kind of make them upset to a degree. And I know some people were really mad, but I mean, if you really are being real with yourself, it wasn't going to happen. So why let something that doesn't make sense bother you, because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I couldn't believe it, Ken. I'm just like, you and I have gone through those roads a lot, and just understand where your season ticket base is. Like, here's why it's not feasible. If you really believe that the southeast side of Chicago or close to that or close to Indiana is something, the Sox could move there.
Yep.
But even the Sox won't do that. You know why? Because they know that the ticket base is going the other direction. It's not going out this way. You know, I say this way, the south side and southeast side. It's not going in that direction. And the other point is that in for the Giants and the Jets, for them to play in New Jersey, it works for them. Fine. Like it doesn't make sense to me as someone from Chicago that the Giants and Jets don't even play in New York, to play in New Jersey, and they share a stadium. Fine. That does not work in Chicago, where the Chicago team plays in Indiana. It's just not the same thing. Like like Gary's close enough, and I know Hammond, and it's not the same. The Chicago Bears have to be in the state of Illinois, and most importantly, they got to be in Arlington Heights. What I would tell Kevin Warren is this: if there is a disconnect between you and Governor Pritzker, or you and Arlington Heights, you got to fix it. You have to reset the organization. Like, look, you have to reset the conversation and say, look, we got to a wrong foot here, a bad start. Let's sit down. But the notion that Governor Pritzker says, 2026, I'm looking at the legislature, looking at our talking, you're not on the books. The Bears Stadium is not on the books for 2026. The shovel should be in the ground now.
Right.
It's 50 degrees today. The shovel should be in the ground today for a new stadium for the Chicago Bears. So whatever the disconnect is, they need to come back to the table. Kevin Warren really thought he could just come in here and be like, Chicago, piece of cake, just like the Twin Cities, how I was able to build that stadium up real quick for the Vikings. He didn't even know who the Friends of the Park were. Like, he had no idea that the politics in this city, let alone this state, is incredible to get shit done. It's hard to get stuff done. He didn't know that. He knows now.
I wanted that George Lucas Museum.
Yeah, I know you did. Oh, but you got an Obama library. Get what you can get.
Now it's pricing out the people at that old folks home on off of 67th Street. Great. That'll be great. Terrific.
Hey, man, I'm all for Obamaville. Just put some more bars in Hyde Park. That's all I would say.
That would that would be a great discussion to have when I tell my kids about old Hyde Park and like the things that I see. And look, I was driving past the Y, right?
Yeah.
And first of all, I went to that Y when it was on 71st Street. And then when it was being built. But I was driving past there and I saw this guy walking across the street going with a golf bag. And I was like, and it hit me. I was like, it is right there. But I had never seen some white cat just like, I'm going to Jackson Park to play golf, just walk across. I said, man, this is different when you're talking about like back in the days. I mean, there was a lot of white people in Hyde Park. It's always been like that. But and then it's just also kind of just like, man, we don't hold on to Jack. Even though I know when you're talking about politics and how that all that stuff was brought up, but it's just when you think about and you talk about the East Side, like my grandmother, I know this. My grandmother used to tell me, I told her I wanted to give my brother the house. My brother's a mess up, and she was like, she heard that in her ear. She was like, sell the house. White people always gonna want to live by the lake. Right? Like, she was like, that's what she told me.
Yes. Now that's valuable real estate for anybody.
Yeah, it is.
For anybody, that's for sure. Looking forward to the Bears in San Francisco. Before I let you go, I just want to get your thoughts. Yes, it was a big game for the Bears to beat Green Bay. And the way that they won was great. I'm just wondering what happens now from a game plan standpoint. Do the Bears just line up and run the football and be able to have some fun getting the ball down the field? Or will the head coach try to outsmart himself like he did on 4th and 1 that precluded the Bears from scoring? Like, what happens? Because to me, line up and play is better than trying to show how smart you are. That's just me.
That has been infuriating, particularly the last 2 or 3 weeks. And that's me as a Ben Johnson stan. But I've talked about it on the pod a lot. Like, dude, I don't know what you're doing. And then for him to double down, like, well, this is it, dude. At one point, I know when we didn't know that this team, and he may say he always knew that this team was going to be here, but when we didn't know that this team was A, going to be here, but B, be here with a real chance to do something with how well they play and how well they're coached, that you were trying to instill stuff to move forward into the next seasons. I get that part. But now you're playing for the here and now because you're way ahead of schedule. So common sense football has to take over rather than I'm still trying to establish this. And I know there's still things that need to be established with confidence and know-how and putting things out on tape. But when it comes to down and distance and either getting another set of downs or making sure that you're taking time off the clock and you're dilly-dallying on 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1 and you're passing the ball when clearly there's 2 guys back there that can get a yard, let alone the quarterback. And we saw that this week with Micah Parsons being out. Remember we talked about the sideline to sideline? That sideline to sideline was not there without Micah Parsons there. It was Caleb could get that edge now or whatever compared to when Michael was out there. It was that part was infuriating. But to answer your question, you can't play with San Francisco like that. Like San Francisco is everything Philadelphia was supposed to be with better offensive play calling. You know, when we're talking about physicality, like when we're talking about Philly being physical, that's San Francisco with better play calling, one of the most versatile backs of the last decade easily. You know what I'm saying? Their quarterback is starting to get healthy, right? They got a guy that likes to run the ball as much and if not more than you in Kyle Shanahan and knows how to flip plays off of that. You can't play with San Francisco. If you play with San Francisco, you're going to lose. Look, they could lose regardless. I know that going out there, they don't have a great record historically, but they could lose regardless. But you need to make a statement because this could also be a game that carries you guys deep into the playoffs, really. Like, depending on how well you play, win or lose. But playing a team like this, because I bet they didn't know they was going to be able to beat Philadelphia like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to say they didn't think they would beat them, but how they out-physical Philadelphia. If they could if they could get San Francisco, and I don't know if I've seen it under Kyle Shanahan, maybe when the Super Bowl's almost over, but they could get San Francisco to basically be like, you know what, it's a wrap by the middle to the end of the third quarter. man, that would be something like you saw Philadelphia do. And I don't think it's going to happen, but you can't do that with trickeration. You can't do that on some willy-nilly play where you're doing some wicked toss out to Cole or DJ, and they can either get popped. It's just line up, run the damn football. Your quarterback can do what he needs to do and make this a game of inches, basically. Like, you don't take the ball out of San Francisco's hands. This is a game of clock possession. You know what I'm saying? To a degree, because the Bears don't need clock possession. They could just come back and score 12, 14 points in the last 3 minutes. But still, if we're talking about football on football, you better be ready and bring your hard hat, and you better not try to be too cute, because they will beat the crap out of you under how good they've been. Really, I don't even count Shanahan since Jim Harbaugh had been there when we're talking about being physical.
Yeah, that offense is scary. We saw it against Indianapolis on Monday night. So it was bend don't break defensively for the Bears, and because the Packers had a small island of red zone opportunities and couldn't punch it in, that won't be the case against San Francisco. Like, you got to be sound, gap discipline. Your corners have to be tight, and they can still score on you, but it won't be like the struggle that Green Bay had, because that's not they were in the red zone 27% of the time, the Packers, and could not get it in.
Right.
So that ain't happening against San Francisco.
They would blow the doors off of you if they were given the same opportunity.
Please tell us about where we can find out more about the Munster, Indiana Bears for you on Sunday.
You can check me out on That Davis on YouTube. Follow me at That Davis on the X on X, and That Davis Show on X. Follow both of them. Also, make sure you check out the Windy City Pod with Alex Shapiro and myself after every Bears game, and we do a preview app. And you can always find me here under the hood with J-Hood.
As always, my friend, I appreciate it. I look forward to you having the map out there on your show of the place in Indiana where the Bears can move. Tell them where the old Tasty Freeze was on 106th and Ewing. Tell them that you could be able to go kick it and go to Spencer's Gifts at the in Calumet City at the River Oaks Mall. Tell them about it.
Right next to the Horseshoe. It's the space right. I'm gonna put it right between Hammond and Whiten. Right, because the crazy part is what you said. Like, what's there? It's not. And again, this is not a knock on them, but what? Because like you said out here, what's going to attract all the fans that go to Bears game to want to go all the way out southeast? What's there? It's not, and we live here. We live here. It's not here, but that's it. And I will see you next week. And to all your listeners and everyone watching, I definitely appreciate it. And I will see you guys the next time the Hoodie brings me on, so we can talk some Bears beating the 49ers, as long as Ben Johnson does what he needs to do and they get some luck, because this could be the hardest game of the season. And I'm saying this is what they've already shown us they can do. Like, this is one of the best run franchises, even though they don't win Super Bowls, within the NFL.
Merry Christmas to you and your family, man.
Merry Christmas to you and yours.
So long, everybody.